Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the Charlton Chronicles. I can't pretend we're a happy bunch tonight, but we are here. I got home at 2:30 this morning, and I was up for work at 7:30, which was a delight. And for the first time in probably over 30 years of support, I left on the 77th minute, which I have not done for a very, very, very long time. So we will obviously break down last night's horror show up at Stoke. And we will obviously look forward to, I say look forward to, that might be a bit of an exaggeration. Saturday's game where we're probably going to lose about 30-0 to Coventry. So as you can see, we are a little bit light tonight. Paul is busy and Tyler is also busy, but I do have a very interesting paragraph from Tyler with his analysis of last night. So I will read that out. As you can see, I'm joined by Callum and our lovely Steve and Sid. So Steve and Sid, I'll start with you. How are you both? And how are you both feeling? Obviously, us four, us four were all at Stoke last night. So do excuse the shocking look on our faces. So how are you guys?
Yeah, caught up with me about 3 o'clock today, I must say. Yeah, I could have had a nice sleep at work, but yeah, it was inevitable, wasn't it? Like you, we left early, 70 minutes, I think. The lovely guys that gave us a lift home decided that they'd had enough, which, yeah, I was quite okay with that, to be honest with you. Yeah, and we got home at 10-1, which was decent. So yeah, but a night to forget on so many levels, but okay, yeah.
Yeah, and Callum, how? Sorry, Sid, I forgot about you. How are you?
Okay. I'm all right. I mean, I did school today, did school yesterday, but and to be fair, but I mean, we'll get onto it later. But that was embarrassing last night, to say the least, and I think everyone should just forget about it. And Saturday's coming.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'm going to forget about it for a little while, though. I like to hold a grudge. And Callum, how are you, mate?
Talking about school, I've had math lessons more enjoyable than that last night, to be honest with you. No, yeah, I mean, a complete disaster. I was texting you, obviously, earlier today, Emma. I thought we were both actually reasonably calm, all things considered. But yeah, I was trying to figure it out this afternoon. I sat on the train back, and as I sometimes do, I was like staring into space, having to think about midfield positioning, and I wasn't getting very far. So I turned some music on and tried to forget about it. But you know, I go on holiday on Friday, so
yeah, and Callum is off to Mumbai, which is very, very exciting. And I can't wait to see all the pictures, and I'm sure you're going to have a lovely time. We will say good evening to some people in the chat. So good evening to Tracy, who was my coach buddy for last night. Good evening to Sam. Good evening to Jack, who was also my coach buddy last night. Good evening to Soph. Good evening to Shell's Cast. Good evening to Jack. Good evening to Zach. Good evening to Chris. Chris also said you'd have had more fun at school, Sid.
Yeah.
Steve's in there. Good evening, Steve. And Matt has said, hi, guys. Not good evening. Looking forward to a new Sid rant to add to the Chronicles collection. I'm sure it's coming. I don't really know where to start with last night. I mean, I actually predicted a 3-0, so I think you can probably blame me for that one. But, I think when the first 2 goals went in within 5 minutes,
yeah,
I think in the end I just put my hood up and thought, oh dear, this is not going to go well. And I remember before Saul Thomas scored, going, you've got to watch him. He is so good, this kid. Bearing in mind he came from National League. Mark Robbins has got him playing really well. He's obviously put a lot of faith in him. He's got a manager behind him, backing him. And wow, what a player this kid is. And I think it showed last night. I mean, obviously we didn't help ourselves, but what a talent they've got on their hands at Stoke. And, they're very, very lucky to have him. And we nearly did sign him, I believe. So what a mistake we made. But Callum, if I come to you first, if you can really sort of, without diving too deep into player performances, because I'm sure, you know, there's going to be some definite calling out, you know, during this show on player performances, but how would you sort of sum up that performance, really?
I mean, it was the first goal. It's a goalkeeping error. Don't get me wrong. I'm always at Stoke. I always want to watch a replay because of the way the wind swirls at Stoke, and it can be funky for goalkeepers. I've seen a lot go up there and make horrible errors that you then turns out the wind has moved it. He set himself for a cross, and he hasn't adjusted, and it's on the keeper, and he knows it. The second one, you've let a player's left-footed and very left-footed cut into a strong foot for no apparent reason. And you got two players again running into each other defensively. I don't know why this is happening all of a sudden. And the third one, it's another cross that goes in. So again, it's on the goalkeeper not saving it. But for the life of me, I do not understand why Kane Ramsey's not put his head on it. It's right above your head. Just put your head on it. And I think that's what... Well, once he was sort of done blaming himself, that's what Kaminsky was having a moan about. But it's just one of those where it's like all three of them are avoidable. I think the manager was actually in his post-match. I think he was right. He didn't sugarcoat it. I think he said, look, when you concede goals like that, it becomes a containment exercise, and it was. Their two fullbacks, showing again why fullback is such a problem for us, absolutely. That Chimandu on the right side, who's been linked with Crystal Palace. Crikey. Right, Johansson, best keeper in the division. I was having a mare, and he's, you know, winning headers almost on the halfway line, right, sweeping around, you know, doing inside chops on our strikers when they're trying to press. It was all really messy. I mean, I told you the stat, and I did look. Harris Campbell had more successful one-on-one tackles than Greg Doherty did last night, right? That's how bad it was, like in the middle there. And the three defenders, goodness gracious me, I'm not sure if it's dumber and dumbest or if it's injured, tired, and completely off the boil. But it was just an absolute mess from start to finish until we made the subs. And I cannot believe that Corey Anderson came on and brought a little bit of control to midfield, because that's not what I was expecting. But it gave me a little bit of a glimmer of, okay, maybe, you know, this kid is, you know, hopefully we can turn him into what we all think he can be.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a massive fan of Corey Anderson. You know, I've always picked Corey up, and I think he is a really, really bright talent. And for me, he always brings energy, he brings a bit of aggression to the midfield, which, to be honest, you know, obviously we'll talk about Greg Doherty, but, you know, it's a player that I wouldn't mind seeing drafted into that midfield at the moment. And I think, you know, we haven't got anything to lose in the current situation that we stand in. So, but obviously we'll talk more about that. So, Steve, I'll come to you before coming to Sid. But like, when you saw the lineup, I mean, I saw the lineup. We'd got there ridiculous early on the coach. We was there 2 hours early, waiting for the lineup to come out. And someone said to me, "Emma, have you seen the lineup?" And I was like, "Oh God, he's starting again, isn't he?" In my words with Tyrese Campbell, and they was like, yeah, Campbell and Leeburn, and I just went, oh, I want to go home. And, you know, and Luke Berry, which I was very surprised about. Chris, I'm sorry if you and Jack are watching, don't kill me. But after a 5-1 battering at home to Southampton, I think I turned to my mate Kim and I said the one player I wouldn't have put in the squad would have been Luke Berry, who moves about as fast as my dead dad. So I was a bit surprised with the lineup. So what did you think of that team sheet when it came out? Were you shocked or were you not surprised?
No, I was genuinely shocked, I must say. And if I'm being brutally honest, I feared the worst as soon as I saw it. It made me think about what he was potentially maybe going to be doing, and I thought, well, you know, if that's the case, if he's playing with 2 10s, he's probably going to go with a back 4. But then again, I thought, well, if Sonny does play in the 10, you're talking about having Berry in a midfield position, whether it be the 8 or the 4, which bothered me straight away. I think we all knew it was going to be a physical, fast game last night, and I'm not sure whether Berry fits into that type of game these days. I mean, he's getting on in his years as well, but I think he worked hard. But yeah, the whole thing. It just felt wrong to me last night. I was disappointed that Tanto wasn't involved again. I would have liked to have seen him and Leeburn last night. Bit more physicality, bit more sharpness, and a bit more menace, if you like. Yeah, but I think we looked wonky. We looked lackluster. We looked knackered. If I'm being brutally honest with you, and as soon as the first goal went in, I think there was an inevitability that a lot of us probably felt. That was, okay, we've come to Stoke tonight. We're 1-0 down after 2 minutes. That's probably going to get worse rather than get better. And when the second goal went in, it was just the end of the night. We were dead, weren't we? But yeah, not the cleverest lineup, not the cleverest tactics. You could argue saying that we're players down and he's been forced into certain situations. You could have that argument, I suppose. But yeah, they wouldn't have been the changes that I would have made. That's for sure.
Yeah, and Sid, how are you feeling? I mean, you're not as old as us, and we've probably seen the highs and the extreme lows of following this football club. But obviously, you as a young supporter, obviously, getting into the Championship, it's a really exciting time to be a supporter. We've had, a great start to the season. There's no denying that. But how are you feeling after those couple of games personally? Are you feeling a bit deflated or are you still feeling positive like for the season?
It's a difficult one because I'm feeling positive obviously, and I think that we can turn it around. But it is kind of just like the bubble was burst. And because we were having such a good run and such a good start to the season, and now it's just kind of like, well, a 5-1 loss from Southampton and now a 3-0 loss from Stoke. And it's just kind of like, we are having an injury crisis. Like, I get that. But players are going to start to come back. Like we saw Amari Bell was on the bench last night. Even though he didn't come on, he was still on the bench. But, the players are going to come back at some point. But right now, I think we just need to focus on trying to play football properly and trying to actually win the games, because I just feel like from the last 2 games, there's been like a lack of effort, and where some of the players might have thought like, oh, we haven't got, like Amari Bell in the squad, we haven't got Charlie Kelman in the squad. Oh, like, it's not going to be as good. But you can't just go based off of not having players in your squad. You have to still fight for the team and the club.
Yeah, and I think that's my biggest frustration. And Callum, I'll come back to you because I think when we was talking earlier, my thing with the team, like there was a lot of stuff I saw afterwards, fans saying, don't get on their back, we're better than we expected to be. And I'm not one, I can see by your reaction to me saying that to you, how you're probably feeling, but we have a right to criticise them in that performance. For me, there was the things that I always look for in my Charlton teams and what I want to see as a fan of the club is I want to see fight, I want to see desire, and I want to see some passion. And I can genuinely say last night, I did not see that from one player on that pitch.
No, I fully agree.
And if you're putting on a Charlton shirt, I expect you to wear that Charlton shirt with pride. And you give everything and you run your socks off into the ground for the badge and for the team. And not just that, but for the fans that have travelled on a cold Tuesday night after seeing you get battered 5-1 on Saturday and you put some effort in. And I'm not going to beat around the bush. And I'm sorry for swearing, but Sid's heard it before. But it was shit. It was absolute shit. And I genuinely don't know how I didn't walk out of that ground after 30 minutes. I mean, I did, in fact, go to the concourse and get 2 large rosé wines. But do you think we have the right to criticise? Are we wrong as a fan base to be critical after that performance?
No. I mean, I think fans are always entitled to an opinion, especially to anyone that made that horrible journey yesterday, right? I don't want to think about how much that cost me to do it, right? Of course, you have the right to criticize anyone and everyone. I've just spent 40 minutes on my own pod having a moan about this, that, and everything else, right? I think for me, the only thing I think sometimes is overreactions in terms of this is 2019-20 again. Come on, lads, at the 26th of November, like that, the difference is this year we've got owners that are already telegraphing we're going to spend money in January. When your manager's coming out the end, the 20th of November and saying, yeah, we want to sign 2 or 3 players, there's going to be money in the transfer kissy, which there wasn't under Roland. We've still got 4 loan slots, that we can use to bring some depth in as well. But that I just don't like that sort of reaction. I don't love sometimes the comments about not running around, because I think yesterday especially, for example, I used that doc stat to show just how badly it went wrong, and I think a lot of that, successful tackles is effort, right? That is effort. That is just getting to your man. There are some mitigating circumstances for certain players, but it's the sort of thing where it's like, as a team, the lack of pride. This time, at least, the goalkeeper went down after the second goal, so we could have a conversation. But I was saying this on my own pod, and I will bang on about this. A 37-year-old Stephen Nzonzi. Now, Stephen Nzonzi in his prime was an absolutely cracking central defensive midfielder, criminally underrated. He's 37 years old, and he's just absolutely dominated in midfield in the Championship against us. Why? Because we didn't move him around. He can't run. But if you're just going to stand there and throw balls, lob balls at his head or try and sort of physically outdo him, he's absolutely massive. He's got all the technical ability in the world. He's like, great, we can play this game. We didn't send players in behind, and I don't know if that's a tactical thing, but we do have players that have some pace going behind him. And when you did get in behind him, they've got 2 massive lumps behind that. So it's the sort of thing where it's like a lot of this stuff is just move around, show some confidence. You talk about that, and I said this to Larry, who I've now shouted out twice in 2 podcasts, so lucky man. I go with every week and is one of my favorite people. And I went to him, I was like, the difference here is look at the way that they're walking around with swagger, right? Look how tall they were standing. It was like they were just walking around nonchalant, whatever. Sorba Thomas's celebration for the first goal shows where he's like shaking his shoulders and whatever, right? Yeah, a little bit is trying to troll people and rage bait, but there's a swagger about them. And we just look so small. We look like this. We're like this. And then when the goal goes in, my captain throws his arm in the air. And I'm not just blaming Doc for yesterday at all. Don't get me wrong. But there's no leadership in there. There's no sort of player to shout and scream and say, actually, you stand here, you go here, you play there, you go there. Right? You need a manager on the pitch. And we just don't have that. They have one in Nzonzi who knows exactly what to do, where to be, what to do. And he's like, you're there, you're there, you're there. Right, when they had a bad moment, he was like, you go there, you go there, you go there. And you can see him doing it. We just don't have that. And sometimes when players try to do it, we don't listen. And that's the, but in terms of having the right to criticize, absolutely. If you spend, you spend your money, you spend your time, you absolutely have the right to criticize anybody, right? And if you stood in -2 degrees on a freezing Tuesday night in Stoke and your team plays like that, yeah, criticize, go ahead, have fun, right?
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And Steve, I'll come back to you because something I found really interesting, and I know we've spoken a little bit about lineups, but it seems when the pressure is on, and I've read this from a few other people, when the pressure is on, Nathan Jones can't deal with it. Now, obviously, we took a hiding on Saturday, and he's only brought in 2 changes from yesterday. So obviously Luke Berry came in, James Bree came back in. James Bree, by the way, I thought was absolutely atrocious last night. I don't know what happened to him, but, I'll come back to his individual performance. But why? For me, it's like career suicide. You go back in and you keep doing the same thing over and over again. If something's not working, why are we not trying something different? And it's a massive concern for me. I think we've been found out the 3-5-2 isn't working. I don't even know. I said to Callum, I don't even know how we set up last night. I couldn't quite figure out who was where. And Callum said, I'm still trying to figure it out. We looked so tactically inept and devoid of any ideas. And that is a massive concern for me. I mean, would, if something's not working, what, would you be doing as a support? What would you be doing if you were Nathan Jones right now?
Oh, there'd be some personnel changes in that respect, and don't get me wrong. I know we played a system all season, and man to man, squad player to squad player, I'm sure they all know the system. But you get to a situation where when injuries come around like this and players are out of form, and then you start playing the same system, but you're putting square pegs in round holes, then that potentially becomes a problem. But I don't know. I feel like the whole squad, the whole first 11, it needed a little freshen up. And we've been banging the drum all season about Tanto, about what he can potentially bring up from, not just from the bench, even if he was getting minutes from the bench, but from a starting perspective, 2 new bodies up front, as Callum's mentioned the Stevenage game a few times, how those two linked up. It'd be lovely to just have that optimism going into a ground again and going, great, we've got what we wanted. Tanto starting up front. Let's just see how it goes, let's see how it plays out. We could all look like Muppets at the end of the game, but you've just seen something different. If you lose 3-0 with Tanto and Liban up, at least we've seen those two play up front again, and see how they sort of react to the other players, see what happens. But yeah, as you say, if we keep doing the same things, and we haven't got the personnel to do it as well as we were at the start of the season, then ultimately performances are going to suffer, and then results are going to suffer. And we're playing against 3 of the biggest teams in the division. We've done 2 and 1 to go. Freshen it up, bring new impetus into the side, bring different ideas into the side. You could have flirted with Nibs coming in with a bit more physicality yesterday over Berry, but ultimately Jones believes, well, he does. He knows his players, and he believes he knows his players, and ultimately, as a manager, you believe that you're right. That's what he's paid for at the end of the day, isn't it? But when it's so far off the pace in the 2 games that we've seen, we can ask the same question now for Saturday. What does he do Saturday? Does he go again with the same lot, or does he change it up a little bit? But there's certain personnel in the side that they just have to come out at some point, and that there has to be some changes there. But if Jones doesn't do it, then we can only sit, look at it, judge it, and then comment on it. That's it. Simple as that.
Yeah, and Chris has put an interesting, well, it's quite a funny comment in the chat. What has Tanto got to do to get around the games from the start? Change his name to Tyrese Campbell by default.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. Sid, before I come to you, I'm going to read out. So Tyler, I asked Tyler to send me a paragraph of his analysis from the game last night.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So I'm going to read you what Tyler said. So. Lord above, another shit show of a performance. Defensive calamity. Might as well have had 3 ghosts in midfield. That's how non-existent they were. And Leeburn and TC together again makes me want to slam my head into a revolving door. Can't blame Kaminsky for the first cross. Anyone who says otherwise or thinks Mannion is better than him is wrong. Although Christ, that 3rd goal was utterly barbaric. Subs did nothing again. Shape was baffling. All-round disaster. Right, I'm having a few stellars for the Champions League. Look forward to a Lily Phillips-esque spanking on Saturday at Coventry. So, yeah, that was Tyler's analysis. That was Tyler's analysis of the game. So. Yeah, so Tyler, we miss you, mate, but I had to get a little paragraph from Tyler of what he thought. So Sid, I'm going to ask you there what Chris has said about Tanto. Now, so what has Tanto got to do to get a run of games from the start? Now, when we think back, how many games did we watch Charlie Kelman get afforded in this league without scoring a goal? To try and get him to maybe score, to get him some, how can we say it, to get him to gain some confidence. Now, what I can't understand is why Tanto hasn't been afforded the same. Mm-hmm. Because people are saying, oh, Tanto's not done this, Tanto's not done that. The lad's had 10 minutes maximum a game, 10, 20 minutes. How is he meant to settle himself, bed himself into a side if he's not getting those minutes? So we won't really talk about Tyrese Campbell for now because we'll come back to that. But what do you think is why Tanto is not getting minutes?
Honestly, don't know, because you've got talent sitting right there. And obviously, as you just said, Emma, we'll talk about Tyrese later. But I mean, Tanto's got so much more energy and actually has the effort to want to play. And there's just players in this team that, like last night, they don't look like they want to play, or they don't look like they want to put in the effort. Whereas Tanto, he obviously wants to get on and play, but he can't for some reason. And I don't know why that is, because I think he works well with Miles as well. And I think that he will work well with Matty Godden, and we know that he works well with Charlie Kelman. So I do think that, you know, he needs to actually get some game time, but I don't think Nathan Jones will change it up.
Yeah, I've just seen a comment from Stuart, and this is kind of what I'm talking about. So Stuart said, the Sheffield goal aside, in the cameos that Tanto has had, I haven't been impressed. So Stuart, you can reply in the chat, but I just want to ask you, and I like that we can interact with you guys in the chat, because I think it's very important from a fan perspective that we get your opinions. Do you think, so this is to Stuart, do you think that he should have been afforded the same time that Charlie Kelman was given? Because how can we realistically judge a player when he's getting 10 minutes here, 20 minutes there, 10 minutes there? Kelman was given a lot of games and he was getting a lot of criticism before he actually scored. You know, he scored one goal, let's face it, and he had a lot of appearances under his belt. So why are we judging Tanto off 10 minutes here, 20 minutes there? Why does he not deserve the same chance that Charlie Kelman got at the start of the season? So, and I think that's a really I'd be really interested to hear people's opinions on that, because for me, it's a massive, massive issue. And it's something I'd love to ask Nathan Jones. Why is he not being given the same chance? And Callum, did you want to say something?
Yeah, it's a really weird comparison, so everyone has to stick with me. But there's when I think about it, and I'm less on this podcast on the sort of free Tanto train. I understand why people feel the way that they do. How I feel maybe is slightly different. It's just the way that I kind of look at football. But the comparison that I would make is actually it's from women's football, of all things in the world. But if you think about, for anyone that doesn't know, basically the England manager, England don't have another centre back, one retired. It's a whole thing. One of the best centre backs in the WSL plays for Man United and played 100 games or something at centre back for Man United. When she came into the England squad, the manager went, "That's a right back." Right? She basically refuses to play her at centre back and goes, "You're
Is
right
this Letizia?
Yeah, exactly that,
Yeah.
right? And it's one of those things where sometimes managers look at you and they go, "That's what you are." And I think that what he's done is he's gone, "You've given me lots of stuff," almost in a. Someone compared him to a Anike action. I think there is some similarities actually in that, in which he goes, "For 20 minutes, I want you to go out there and just cause chaos. But I don't want you to start and cause chaos that way." And I think the Ipswich thing, and I've kind of used the same examples, I don't think Tanto was bad in that game. I just think the issue was in terms of the press, because it was wonky, because he's trying to do what Tanto does, right? He does really well. But it doesn't quite fit the tactical setup, and that's why. And we can sit here and go, "Look, we've just beaten 3-0 by Stoke and we were 2-0 down after 5 minutes." And I get the argument. But I think that's why I think that he's gone, "Actually, you're a super sub because for 20 minutes I want to break a game apart like I did against Blackburn." But I don't necessarily want that up front for a whole 90 minutes, week in, week out. So I think that's probably why it is. I would still make the argument you could bring him on at 60 rather than 80, right? I think that's an absolutely fair argument to make. I think that's probably why he's doing it, especially away from home. But I hope that I think that's kind of what I gathered from it. And I think that, so Stuart's come back to you there. I just tried to fill in the time in between.
Yeah, no, I saw that. He's saying he agrees that he should be given a few starts to prove himself, basically, which is all I ask of, really. I think it's difficult to judge him off the limited performances that he has had. And I do think maybe I've compared him to Chuks. I think he's a fitter version of Chuks. You know, as in he's got the strength, he's got the hold up play. But he's got to have time to be able to show what he can bring to this team. And chucking in 5-minute, 10-minute cameos here and there isn't doing it. And he's never going to prove himself. You've got £1.5 million striker there. He isn't a bad player. He was banging them in for Stockport, you know, playing 40 games a season for Stockport, loved by Stockport fans. Why he's not being given the chance, you know. Surely he was made some assurances when he joined the club to say, yes, Tanto, you'll be getting minutes. This is the role we want you to perform. Otherwise, he wouldn't have signed. Because surely at his age, he wants to be playing football.
Wouldn't a player with 100 appearances in the Championship like JRC also think that he'd been given assurances? When, you know, and that, you know, and that's kind of, I think, part of the problem. As I say, I think probably what it is that I think when Anike has started games before historically, he's kind of, it's flattened over the course of the first 40 minutes as, oh, this is great, and then it sort of dies a little bit. So I think it's entirely tactical. I really don't think it's personal. They seem to get on the sidelines, him and Tanto. I don't think Tanto is like Rob with everything in the media either. I think that, you know, and we don't know. He may have been told, yeah, you're going to be a super sub for him, but you're going to play in the Championship, and isn't that what you want? You know, we don't know that. So then that would be my only thing. I mean, Nibs would have thought he'd be starting over a lad that's coming for free from Blackpool, right?
Yeah,
So,
I mean, when I look back at the transfer window, and Steve and Sid, I'll come back to you. When I looked at the transfer window, for me, I thought Harvey Nibs would be our best signing.
Oh.
You know, I was thrilled by the Harvey Nibs signing. And I'm thinking, wow, if we get the Harvey Nibs from Reading, we've got a player on our hands. And again, that doesn't seem to have... Obviously, he is being kept out of the team by, you know, Sonny Carey. And for me at the moment, Sonny is the only player out there that has got credit in the bank for me, because he saved our arse numerous times this season and he's been outstanding. He hasn't been great in the last couple of games, but I don't feel he's had the backup from, you know, his partnership in there. So, you know, what could Harvey Nibs bring to this team? And that is my question for both of you, really, because I think, you know, I will say when Harvey came on last night, I thought he brought a bit of bite and a bit of aggression to that midfield, even though he came on quite late. I saw him do a few good things. So it feels for me that there is a place for him in this team, but it doesn't need to be at the risk of pushing Sonny Carey out of it. I think there potentially is the chance that we can maybe push Sonny up and drop Harvey back. But I think, you know, we're keeping Doc in there, and his performances as of late, which we will obviously come on to, haven't been good enough. So, you know, what's your thoughts around that? We've probably got one of the best young midfielders from League One on our bench and not getting the minutes that maybe he feels that he probably should be getting right now.
Yeah, I mean, I just think it's a bit difficult because obviously we haven't really got the Harvey Nibs from Reading, and you know, like he hasn't really, for me, captured any games that he has participated in. Obviously, from the first game in season, Watford, he scored, but he was in the right place at the right time, and it was a good goal. But I do think that, you know, he does deserve more game time, because obviously if the midfield right now isn't cutting it, then why not try something new? You know, it's not like, I mean, we've got a lot of time, but we also want to change the situation quite quickly. So I do think that, you know, he is a good player, and I do think that he does deserve game time, because otherwise, I mean, there's no point in him sitting on the bench and not learning.
Yeah, and Steve, I'll come to you, because something that, I don't know, it's a bit of an issue for me is we sign players, you know, that are excellent in their positions. Rob Apter's a winger. Tyrese Campbell, although he came for our academy, again, is a winger. You know, we've got players there that are not playing in their natural positions. Therefore, Rob Actor isn't being given the minutes that he probably deserves because he isn't a wing back. So why are we not playing a system, one, that suits our players, and two, why did we sign these players when they're not playing for the positions that on the system that Nathan Jones really wants to play?
Yeah, I think Jones is the only one that can answer that with any kind of accuracy or foresight in that respect. Maybe he's in a situation where, I mean, he has bettered a lot of players that have come into our club. Maybe he's in a situation where he can look at someone like Apter and go, okay, well, I'd need to develop his forward play, but I can also probably make him better defensively, understand systems better, and probably the same with Campbell. You're right what you said about Nibs there to an extent, where I think when we thought we might lose Nibs at the end of the window, it kind of put a downer on the whole transfer window to me, and then it brought it back up when we signed him. But he's another one there. You know, you've got two players that are similar in the same position, the 10 position. Carey's taken the reins, and rightly so, has been sensational. But yeah, you know, you could probably have the same argument about Nibs and Tanto. He's getting little sort of passages in games where he can come on and try and make a difference. But yeah, as I say, Sydney said there, he hasn't really grabbed the game by the scruff of the neck like he did against Reading. I thought his press was sensational at Reading on every occasion that I saw him, and he gave us massive problems. But yeah, in regards to the question asked there, why does he buy players that potentially can't play in the system? Again, I genuinely don't really know the accurate answer to that, unless he's in a situation where he starts in this system, and then I don't know, depending on how we're doing by Christmas or New Year, he then tweaks it every now and again for certain different games. But on the evidence that we've seen so far, it doesn't look like he's going to change the system at all, does it? So.
Yeah, he feels like he's very tactically inept when the pressure's on, and that's, as I mentioned earlier, I just feel like he can't swallow his pride and change it, which is sad to see, really, because I think we've been found out and it isn't working. So I've just got a couple of interesting points from the chat. So Wesley has put in there that he doesn't feel we have a plan B. Jones needs to get Alex Mitchell back in January and swallow his pride. I don't know if everyone's aware of the issue. Obviously I do know, but I won't sort of drag into it because it's not fair to obviously do that to Alex. But there was a bit of an issue between them, and Alex was basically shunted out because of that issue. I like Alex Mitchell, and I would like to see him come back. I think, you know, we don't suddenly get the best young defender in League One from Lincoln, who had the best defensive record in League One at the time, and he suddenly becomes shit and isn't good enough for us. And Plymouth fans absolutely love Alex Mitchell. So
it's on the ball. That's why. It's because he's on the ball. He'll get pressed to death in the Championship. That's why.
Yeah, but I do like Alex Mitchell. I do like Alex Mitchell, and I would like to see him get another chance as well. And I think he would be good defence. I'm not saying he's necessarily a starter, but he could be the good defensive backup for us right now.
My answer would be Tyler Binden. He's going to go back to Nottingham Forest, who was at Reading a couple of seasons ago, but he's going to go back to Reading, back to Nottingham Forest, and from Sheffield United because Wilder doesn't want him. Left-footed centre-back, young centre-back, won't need to come in and play every week, but that's exactly the sort of play, good on the ball. 6'4", was the best player on the pitch against us twice. That's the sort of player that I'd be. Gave Anike a real battle. That's the sort of player I'd be looking at.
That isn't easy to do.
No.
Yeah. And then Jack has put a rumour in there, which I don't know, Callum, if you've heard of. Rumour to sign youngster Ollie Scholes. I don't know if I've said that right, from West Ham, 19 years old and plays in midfield in January.
Oh, I'd love him. I mean, West Ham on my local. I was just saying to Jack in there, he's a left wing back. He started for him actually the first couple of games for Nuno.
Oh yeah, you just put it,
back. But I mean, he's one of their academy's sort of gone down the hill a little bit in the last couple of years. But he's actually one of their best young one of their best talents. I think there's a cracking player in there just down the road for him as well. So you don't have to move house or anything. Obviously, he'll know Connor from coming through that academy. I think that'd be an excellent signing on there and give us some depth on that left hand side. I would be all for that, and I think we do need to use those Premier League loan slots just to kind of get some depth in there that aren't going to cost us anything, because it's pretty obvious money's going to be spent on the right-hand side, and then, dear to God, hopefully at centre-back as well.
Yeah, and then Marcus just said his mate's a Reading fan, said that Harvey will be missing for 5 games, then all of a sudden score a brace and look unbelievable before going missing for another 5 games. So it seems he lacks a bit of consistency. Marcus also said that the midfield needs some attention. Sorry, I'm just catching up. DJ has said that Nathan Jones is the best manager we could hope for. Yeah, I will argue that. Yeah, and then Marcus said Alex Mitchell is an old school battering ram type defender. Not good enough for this level. League One is about right for him. I probably do agree, but I think he would be a good backup centre back for us. And I completely agree with DJ on this one. Bring back Naby. just for the shits and giggles and the own goals.
Are you trying to tell me your answer is not to bring back Michael Hector, Emma? Is that what you're saying to me?
No, I want who was the other idiot he played with that was just as bad? Terrell Thomas. Bring that
Terrell
one
Thomas
back.
was second in Player of the Year voting. Why he doesn't have a statue, I do not know.
Oh, please. Making one out of Play-Doh. Probably representing really well. I don't know who voted him second. That's frigging terrible, isn't it? Like,
yeah, it was Dobson.
That's a red card, Mark Drury.
Yeah, there was some serious drunk voting on that. If he got second, I'll tell you.
If you haven't got a chance to find the clip of Louis Mendes reacting to that from the end of Player Dinners that season, it's one of the funniest things I've ever heard of him just going, "Oh my God." And he just stares straight ahead. It's one of the funniest reactions. He's like, not a cat in hell's chance.
It just like shows how shit everyone else was if he got second. To be honest, but we'll go through some player analysis because we could literally drag on for hours about last night. So Callum, I know you want to talk about Thomas Kaminski as you told me earlier, so don't rant for too long because we've still got to bring in Coventry in this. But yeah, talk to me because I think he had a mare, and I think I put on my Facebook last night, not my Facebook, my Instagram last night, a picture of him and just put butterfingers. So what's your analysis really of his performance last night? And is it as bad maybe as we're thinking it is?
I'm not going to go on a rant. I'm going to make this really simple. We can all sit here and spend half an hour talking about the goalkeeper, listen to the post-match. Nathan Jones doesn't really bang on about the goalkeeper. The only time I've ever heard him criticise the goalkeeper was Isted against Northampton. Guess who played in goal the next weekend? Nathan Jones isn't going to change it. It's kind of a complete waste of everybody's time for us all to be sitting there chatting about it. It's not going to change. They could change the whole coaching stuff. It won't change. As a highest paid player, the money men aren't going to let you go. Yeah, go put your 20 grand a week keeper on the bench. That's a great, it's a great spend of finances. He had a horrible night. It's unfortunate a horrible night against, whilst the best keeper in the Championship's in the other goal. I get that, but the answer. If anyone thinks that Will Mannion is the answer. You're asking the wrong question at this level. Just go back and watch the Bristol Rovers game away from home where he's beaten three times in the exact same spot because he's not getting up in the air. The thing about Mannion is he was sort of wrapped in cotton wool in League One. He made one really great save away at Stockport and a decent save against Wickham in the playoff games. Other than that, I can't think of a great save Will Mannion made last season. If you put him in with a poor defence as it is at the moment in a Championship game, he's going to get absolutely killed. He was the backup at Cambridge 2 seasons ago for a reason. We didn't want him to start last year. You and I both know that, Emma. They went around every house in the neighbourhood to find a keeper. They couldn't get one, so they stuck with it. They'll be very happy to let Ash go at the end of the contract. So, it's not going to change. He had a horror show of a night. He'll admit he had a horror show of the night. He fronted it up at the end and, came over and basically put his hand up and said, "That's on me." Let's move on. It's a tough game on Saturday, but the change in the keeper is not gonna it's not gonna happen. So there's no point me sort of banging on about it for 10 minutes. 2 minutes did it? Yes.
Wait,
I will just pull a couple of points. Well, a couple of my points in regards to Kaminsky. I don't think he is a massive upgrade on Mannion. And there are serious parts of his game that are lacking. He does not come out for the ball or claim the ball from crosses. His kicking is absolute shite. And that's probably it. He is a good shot stopper, but yeah, last night he seriously let himself down, massively let himself. A keeper on 20 grand a week should not be making those mistakes, and it is as simple as that. And I don't think he's the upgrade. I haven't been as impressed with him as I thought I would be for the money that he's earning. I think there was probably better out there than him, if I'm being honest, and I think he's overpaid.
Wait, Emma, can I just wait? I do want to argue this. Basically,
go on, Sid. We're getting a Sid rant.
The CAFC _ Dan in the comments has said about Mannion kept us in the playoff final, and I 100% agree with that, because obviously I know Maka got his goal, but he also made some really good saves. And to be honest, I don't think Mannion is as bad as everyone says he is. And I think for Kaminsky last night, it was a joke for him. And I think, to be honest, on my opinion, I think all the goals were his fault. Because, I mean, on the first one, it's a mishit cross. It's not a shot. It's not intent. He thinks it is intended not to go in. And he's almost kind of fallen backwards trying to put his hand on the ball, and he's just completely missed it. And I don't know how you can really miss that. And then second one, I mean, the guy's cutting on his left foot. Okay, fine. The players in front of him have let him in. I mean, that's not on him. But then, I mean, the shot's not taken that far away from where Kaminsky actually was positioned. So I think he could have done better with that. And with the third one's even more shocking. I mean, again, it's another whipped ball in, and
It's not a whip ball, is it?
yeah, I mean, it's just been put in, and he just stand there and catch it, or even just fall onto it, just fall onto it and pick the ball up. But it's gone under him, and he's got a hand on it, and I don't know how, again, you can't be saving that. And again, there was another thing, like Emma said, about the command in the box. There was an easy, like, I think it was a cross in, or just a ball that came down from the air, and he could have easily just shouted, Kaminsky, keepers, whatever you want to say, and caught it. But instead, he stood there in silence and let Lloyd header it, even though Lloyd didn't need to header it. And it is a bit insane, because after that first goal winning, I was actually sitting there with my mouth wide open, just thinking, what just happened? And then you got the second in within 5 minutes, and it's just like, you've got to try and at least do better on that. And I don't really know how he has missed those. And obviously, I know Nathan Jones wouldn't have changed it, but I mean, Mannion's maybe got to get in there, because he must be sitting there thinking on the bench, like, that's just happened. How am I not going to get on? Like, you 3-0 down, and it's not going well. So I just think that everyone's criticising Mannion, but he's not as bad as everyone should think he is. And Kaminsky had an absolute nightmare last night.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I've been a big fan of Will, to be honest, and I found it harsh that he was actually dropped for this season. And maybe should have been given a chance in the Championship. Whether he wasn't, I obviously agree with what Callum is saying as well, that he probably isn't a Championship keeper, but an established 20 grand a week Championship keeper shouldn't be making those mistakes he made last night. And that isn't acceptable on any level. And the first goal, actually, I think Sorba Thomas was trying to score, because I was watching the replay, and can I just talk about what a player this lad is as well? Like, this Sorba Thomas is just unbelievable. He's everything Tyrese Campbell should be, but he's just not. I think he's hit it really hard. I mean, when you rewatch it, he's hit it way too hard for it to be a cross. And apparently he's done it 4 times this season already. So I do think he was trying to score, but anyway, what happened. Sorba Thomas is a cracking player. I had a guy behind me all night shouting about how shit his hair was and how he wanted to cut his hair off.
Oh, that man.
And he kept shouting it when Sorba was trying to take a corner, and I'm literally sat 2 rows in front of him, and I turned around and went, I like his hair, will you shut the F up? And he told me to go and stroke his hair. And I said, all right, I'll go and stroke his hair then. That's fine. We've got some strange fans. Anyway, Sid and Steve, Steve, I'll come back to you because Sid's had a little rant. So, obviously, talk to me about, the back three, really. Obviously, Kane, Lloyd, and Maka. It wasn't, didn't exactly cover himself in glory last night, did they?
No, it wasn't great, to be honest with you. Granted, they looked exposed again by a midfield that simply didn't compete. But yeah, I think there's a genuine worry on the. I mean, we've spoken about the left-hand side being a problem, and yeah, we haven't got the personnel to play potentially how we want to. But Maka's pace has been really, really, really found out in the last couple of games, and. I mean, there's not a lot he can do about that. That's his pace. That's his game. But I think we've been badly exposed on the left-hand side at the moment, and I think it's putting pressure on the rest of the back three. Lloydie was a little bit hesitant last night on a few occasions. I don't think it was his dominant self, but I mean, he's entitled to a one-off every now and again. That he might well be feeling the effects of playing every single week, every single minute. But I think the desire is still there, and I think he probably got a little bit outfoxed on a couple of occasions last night. There's an argument to be had that for the second goal that he got pushed, but I think in normal circumstances, Lloyd's the stronger man there, isn't he? And he'll either win the header or win the tackle. But I thought Kane had a really poor game last night, especially his passing. I mean, he's normally very adept on the ball, doesn't panic, he backs himself. But I think he skewed a few off the park last night, and he looked a little bit hesitant whilst he had the ball. I can see how they weren't at their best. 2-0 down after 5 minutes. I think probably even at your most professional, you're questioning Jesus, or where do we go from here? How do we keep it clean for the rest of the game? A tough night for those guys last night, and surgery needs to happen in regards to personnel. But as I say, we haven't got the personnel at the moment, so it's probably going to be more of the same on Saturday, I'd have thought.
Yeah, Callum, I'll come back to you. Obviously, so we can wrap this up and get on to sort of talking about the Coventry game, or the Coventry thrashing, shall we say. I'll get you to talk about, because I know obviously we had James Bree, and for me, initially I thought, Bree's back, brilliant, but I think he was absolutely atrocious, and he doesn't look himself since he's come back, and I'm not really sure what's going on there. And I'm not sure who actually was the wing back on the other side, if I'm completely honest. This is where I got a bit confused with shape. But if we can talk about maybe the sort of wing backs there, and Doc and Cov, if you don't mind.
Yeah, it'd be really. Bree, groin injury, that can take a while to recover from. I'm not massively sure he's 100% fit. Nathan Jones' big complaint actually about the first goal wasn't the goalkeeper, it was the fact they didn't block the cross. He should be blocking that cross actually. When you watch that back, have a look at the height when it gets to Bree. His leg should easily get there. He doesn't extend far enough. Is that his groin? I don't know. TC started at left wing back, so actually it wasn't Miles and TC up front to start. It was actually Carey seemingly playing at left-sided striker. I don't think that. I mean, the problem at left wing back is none of the options work, right? And Hernandez is not in the squad, thank God, because Saturday was an embarrassment. But no one works down that side. And the problem with Stoke is what they were doing was they were doubling up, because they've got those two fantastic fullbacks. So say Chumadu is going for God knows how much in January to Palace or whatever it is. They double you, and then you're always in a 2-on-1. So because you're playing two strikers up there, they can't get there. And for some reason, we've decided that Coventry and Doherty, other way around, because one's left-footed, they're not going to drop. And I don't know why. And Tyler is absolutely right. It looked like three ghosts in the middle of that midfield yesterday. But that's the second time it's looked like three ghosts. I mean, as I say, Doherty getting out-tackled by Tyrese Campbell is quite literally an embarrassment. It's embarrassing. There's no way you can look at that stat sheet and think otherwise. I mean, he's not throwing any crunching tackles in. We have an inability to bring players down when they're on the break. Take the yellow card, take one for the team. That's gone. And the throwing your arms up in the air whenever we can see the goal to blame somebody, it's not really particularly inspirational. So I've been very, very disappointed. You know, I've got commentary shirt behind me, right? Like, I'm a big fan of the lad. Haven't been massively impressed with him, but I don't think he's been massively helped by the fact that the guy next to him has decided to go on walkabouts. And, you know, that's not Kerry's job to get back there. So that's where I stand with it. I think we need Bell back now, right this second, if possible. Sounds like he might be able to give us a half on Saturday. But that Scarles thing, absolutely. Get me depth at left wing back, because we cannot go through this again in the new year. We just can't do it.
Yeah, and I didn't realise Tyrese was playing left wing back, to be fair with you. But if we quickly discuss Tyrese while we're there, because obviously he started at left wing back, I will say I actually felt Tyrese Campbell in the first half was completely missing, if I'm completely honest with you. And when I saw him try to get forward, he really lacked the ability. Well, I say lacked the ability. He's got the ability, but he frustrates the hell out of me. He has the ability to go past players and to take players on. All I saw Tyrese do yesterday in the first half was pass the ball back. He'd go to take on the player and he would pass the ball back constantly. Sorry, Steve, I will come back to you.
Yeah, no, please do. Yeah.
But then I felt second half, he actually came out firing more. And I felt he was really going for it second half. And then he took him off. And I was like, what are you doing? So when he's absolutely dog shit, you leave him on for 90 minutes. When he actually starts to improve, you take him off. I don't make it make sense. So, Steve, I'm going to ask you. We haven't spoke about the Campbell since last night, and I'm glad that I wasn't the only one to notice this, because on me watching the game last night, it was massively noticeable. I'm not talking about Tyrese at left wing back. I'm talking about when he went over to the right hand side. I thought it went to another level last night in regards to Campbell. Lack of confidence, lack of desire, lack of wanting to do something. There must have been about 7 or 8 occasions where the ball came to him. 3 or 4 of those where he had time to get a touch, get his head up and decide what he was going to do. But every single one of those occasions, he took a touch and knocked a 5-yard pass back to Bree. I thought that changed the whole thing for me last night in regards to him, because if that's the best of what we're going to see from here onwards, when you've got a ball to feet and you've got space, then we're in trouble, and there needs to be a solution found, and quickly, because I'm desperate to see that kid at some point get the ball in space and then do something. Run at the defender, knock it past him, use your pace to get round the other side, drop your shoulder, put your foot over the ball, try a trick, do something. But you cannot keep getting the ball in space, just dawdling, dwelling on it, and then laying a 5-yard ball back to Bree. That's not what you're there for. You're there to create. And it's no coincidence that on the back of that, what we saw last night, the guy's got one assist in the league this season, 2 potentially all competitions. And there's certainly no way that he's going to score goals like that. The kid's got to get a situation where if he gets time like he did last night, even if he doesn't amount to anything, run at the fullback, do something, try and make something happen. The kid's got pace to burn. There's no excuse why, the old players back in the day, you likes a Mick Shannon, they'd knock it around the player and then run around the other side. Do something. Put a trick. If you lose the ball, so be it. I think the fans would be more okay with him trying stuff and it not happening, rather than just that 5-yard ball back. Because I felt a lot of frustration last night on the back of a lot of those passes back to Bree, and I heard a few things, rightly or wrongly. But as I say, if you're not going to offer any threat going forward, then a solution, it's not what we spoke about. It has to be found. A solution has to be found, because if that's the case, you're talking about 2 forward players, and one of them's just not really contributing to any kind of forward play, not any kind of momentum, any kind of chance making. I think that was a real telling thing last night, and I hadn't really seen that level of lack of confidence from Tyrese all season. But last night, I don't think it's going to benefit anyone if it carries on like that. Yeah, and I will actually go as far as saying, and I'm going to be a bit rascal for saying this. At the moment, he reminds me of a shit Dialang Jayasimi.
Yeah, I mean, that's
without the fat ass.
yeah.
In all honesty,
I looked at it last night, and I know he's only a kid, and I'm only looking at this through a window. Would Fuller have the same lack of confidence in that situation? Not about the whole situation. Get a ball to his feet and the fullbacks faced at him. I'm pretty sure Fuller would put the foot pedal to the metal. He'd try something. He'd try and make something happen. And that ultimately, that's what we want. And Tyrese has got the ability to do that, but there seems to be a complete lack of wanting to do that at the moment. Whether he thinks that if he does mess it up, he's going to get stick from the crowd. Quite the opposite, I think. And in that situation, I said to Sydney, I wonder if Fuller in this same situation will be knocking it back every time. And that's only a comment about a player that's potentially a little bit similar to him in that position going forward.
Yeah, and I think the mad thing is as well, like we talk about Tyrese Campbell like he's really young and he's still learning. He is probably one of the most capped players for us in this team. He's one of the most experienced players in this team with appearances. He's not learning anymore. He shouldn't be adjusting to life. All right, you're still adjusting to life in the Championship, but you're not adjusting to being a first-team player anymore. You've been around this squad. You've been in and around this squad for years now. It's not good enough anymore, and I'm not buying it anymore. I don't want to see it anymore. I'm getting bored of it. And I want him to do well. Like Stuart said, he's desperate for him to score. I'm desperate for him to score. And I would even take him coming up and shushing the fans. But he has got to do more. It isn't enough. It isn't good enough anymore. It just isn't good enough.
You can't score if you keep taking the safe option all the time. It's just not going to happen. It's just not going to happen.
Can I just do a really quick devil's advocate for 30 seconds?
Yeah.
Just for a little bit of balance, I guess, something slightly different. First, they should have had an assist last night. He played a beautiful ball and Berry should be tucking that in the corner.
Yeah.
So he should have had an assist, and he did beat his man. Secondly, Michael Appleton never played him on the right because he can't play on the right. Because the reason why he's not breaking through and beating players on that side is because he's left-footed.
Yeah.
Not only that, if you look at the way Stoke were doing it, they realise because we have nothing on our left side, everyone realises we shut the right side down, they can't go anywhere. Right, as soon as he moved him over, I think it was trying to create an over, they went and Zonzi sit there, centre-back sit behind him, right-back sit there, right? So you're triple teamed all the time. So the reason you're going backwards is because you're on your weak foot and you've got 3 players in front of you. So I don't think he had as much time as we're sort of suggesting. And I think
I counted at least 3 or 4 times, Callum.
And the other thing is,
that's not for me being argumentative. That's just what I suppose.
No, of course, opinions are opinions, right? That's
the thing is, like, you say that, he's on his weak foot. Like, obviously, that's your opinion. I respect that. But, you when you get a chance to play in this squad, wherever you get put, doesn't matter, honestly, if you get put in a position that maybe you don't play as well in, you still have to try and fight for the team because you can't just keep, as my dad said, picking the safe option. You have to, and if Tyrese is left-footed and he's been being played on the right, you've at least got to try and drive. I mean, try your best with your right foot. Try and cut in like the Stoke player did to get onto his left foot. Just try and cut in. Try and make those chances, but he just don't want it.
Yeah,
Tyrese of last season would have been trying to cut in and shoot. He's not even trying to get forward last night. Not even trying. And I only saw it on the I only saw it in the second half when he started to improve and he really got forward. But then he's taken him off. And I was like, why are you taking him off now? When, for me, he'd actually shown signs of improvement and he took him off. We all know what the answer to this is. He's sitting on the bench getting splinters in his arsehole. His mum wants him to leave the club. She's been saying it all on Twitter. We know we want Actor to play. I don't get it. And I'm sorry for ranting and getting a bit angry, you lot are used to me by now, but I am so frustrated for Rob Actor. I genuinely am, because we have one of the most talented young wingers from League One, and he is sat on the bench when Tyrese Campbell is doing jack shit. And that's me being kind. And it is bloody frustrating to watch. It is so frustrating. And it was so good to see the fans singing Rob Actor's name last night when he came on, because the fans are desperate for him to play. And like I said, you can't keep doing the same shit over and over again and expecting it to work. It's just not happening. But, you know, I think we're going to move on, because as Stuart's just said, we were going to move on to the Coventry game, because we could rant about hours about last night, you know. I don't even think it's worth talking about Miles Leafburn's performance, because it was abysmal. And he literally was just static for whatever time he was on the pitch. Sonny Carey, bless him, first half, I thought he ran his socks off, but again, there was no support for him. And the sub appearances, I think Tanto tried, but again, didn't get enough minutes. Well, I left at 77, so I don't really know what happened after that, to be honest. So, but I will say, because it's been called out on Twitter, and before we move on to Coventry, there are some things that were noticed at the game last night where a particular player was, you know, we've just lost 3-0, and a particular player thinks it's okay to stand around with his mate from Stoke City and have a laugh and a joke with his mate on the pitch when we've just been battered 3-0. I don't know if everyone knows who that player is. I don't need to mention his name, but it's not acceptable. Have a bit more respect for the fans, because that's not okay. You know, have a bit more. That stuff can wait until the tunnel. Don't do it in front of the fans when we've just been battered. It's not okay. And I know it has pissed quite a few people off, including moi and Callum, I think, and Steve.
My point is to show some discretion. That's all it is. Like, to have a chat with your mate in the tunnel. Just get down the tunnel and do it.
Yeah.
That's all it is. That's all it is. It's not that I think that he's anything, whatever. Just get down the tunnel. Your manager's apologising to the fans and putting his hand up and saying, my fault. Don't be laughing with your mate on the side. I know you haven't seen him for years, but just get down the tunnel.
Yeah. Have a little bit of respect. Anyway, so we can, like I said, we can rant for hours about last night, but we shall move on to Coventry. Obviously, Coventry last night moved 10 points clear at the top of the championship. Coventry are an unbelievable side. Very unbelievable side. They have some cracking players. I'm actually not now going. I've decided to refund my ticket, because I'm going to spend a day putting up my Christmas tree, which I think will be much more entertaining than travelling up to Coventry on my day off. So it's very unlike me, but that's just in the mindset that I'm in. So I'm now not going. So I'm going to ask you guys what, you know, you'd really like to see change on Saturday, really. Callum, I'll start with you.
In terms of change, the issue is that the changes that I'd want to make are, but defensively, we don't have the bodies. You hope Amari Bell can give you a half. I'd rather them play first half and get a full warm up than come on second. My biggest fear is that if a 37-year-old Stephen Nzonzi is going to dominate you in midfield, you're about to play against the best midfielder in the championship, probably alongside Hayden Hackney of Middlesbrough, although he just absolutely dominated Hackney on Tuesday night. In Grimes, who is absolutely sensational midfield player. I don't know if Ridoni's back for him. If he is, he's the best 10 in the division, along with Loser at Watford. They've got a cracking keeper. They've got 2 excellent centre-backs. They've got excellent full-backs, right? They've got the 2 strikers for this level are excellent players. They score goals for fun. I don't feel like...
Asante's a cracking player.
I like Hadji Wright. I like Hadji Wright a hell of a lot, right? He's not the most clinical striker in the world, but I like Hadji Wright a hell of a lot. And I think he does a lot in the all-round game. The really big thing for me is I just think Grimes, if we play the way we have in midfield, Grimes is going to have an absolute field day. He's going to be pinging balls left, right and centre, looking like a version of the Welsh version of Paul Scholes. So we've got to, you know, either you pack the midfield, you can do that. You man-mark him, maybe you do what you did to Cantwell at Blackburn, but man-marking a 6 is a bit bizarre. I wish I had an answer. I'm not the UEFA licensed coach. But I think you're going to have to either pack the midfield or you're going to have to put 11 men behind the ball and try and get, you know, and do it that way, you know. And also, we're all going to have to hope. I don't think you get out of there with anything anyway. But if you do get out of there, your goalkeeper's going to bail you out. That's the only way you're going to get out there with anything. So, dear to God, if Thomas Kaminski wants to do an equal or opposite reaction and turn into the second coming of Peter Schmeichel on Saturday, that would be very much appreciated. Is it coming? I have no idea. But dear to God, I hope so. I'll be watching from a hotel room on a little screen.
And Stephen said, I'm sure you're both going.
Yeah, we are. Yeah,
you might be, and I know Paul's going. So half of Team Chronicles will be there Saturday to bail me out on Sunday when I host the show. So you know what? Look, I don't think we're stupid enough to go up there and expect anything, but what for you is a must? What must you see from this squad on Saturday?
Yeah, I mean, it has to be not just for our expectations, but for us to have a chance. It's got to be 150% effort. I know that's a bit of a cliche, the 150%, but every single player that pulls on a shirt on Saturday has to go out and give it everything. Don't leave anything on the pitch. No regrets. Play for each other, work for each other. All these sort of cliched things that are last things that are said in the changing room. It has to just be the case. I think we're going to need to be a touch lucky in certain scenarios. We're probably, as Callum's mentioned there, we'll need an outstanding goalkeeper performance. We'll need Lloyd at his very best, Kane at his very best, and Maka the same. The midfield have probably got a point to prove, if I'm being brutally honest, after the last couple of games. Hopefully that realisation and that desire will, I won't say it will cancel their midfield out. Callum's made some great comments there about the exceptional players they've got in that position. We just have to compete. We have to put the foot in. We have to, get on these players. You can't let a team that are just flying high on confidence play with freedom, and we have to be on their first touches. We have to be in tackling. We have to be getting in about them. And ultimately, when we do get a chance to play, we need to be careful with the ball, because if we do give it away in silly positions, we're going to get punished. It's as simple as that. But I think Mark's mentioned there, it almost feels like a bit of a free hit. It's expectations probably low after the last couple of games, but as was mentioned before this podcast tonight, it really wouldn't be the most biggest surprise on the planet if we went there and nicked a 1-0 at the end, would it? But there you go. Maybe I'm in Claire Cuckoo land on the back of that one, but it's going to be a tough game. It really is.
Yeah, guys, we're going to go through some score predictions. Look, be honest, be realistic, but if you can pop them in the chat, and we will depressingly read them out, because I don't think there's going to be many good ones to come through. So, Callum, I'll come to you. Give us a realistic score prediction, and I just think it's.
I think it's going to be deja vu. I think of St Andrews last year, where I'm going to say 1-0. We're going to put 11 men behind the ball. We're just going to make it really difficult and try to hold on to the goal difference, but they're not going to have to leave second gear. But it wouldn't surprise me if it's a 1 or 2. I think he's going to set up to just be as rigid as he possibly can. But somebody mentioned Sakamoto against Maka on there, and that has given me that's going to give me nightmares. So I was actually you, Stuart. Cheers, mate.
Just be grateful you're in Mumbai, Callum. You should turn it off. Like, I'll be checking the score on my phone. If it goes 5-0, I'll go back to the Christmas tree. I'll go.
Get the angel up.
Yeah. Either that, or I'll get like a voodoo doll of Nathan Jones and start sticking pins in it so he gets pain every time I poke it. Sid, I'll come to you next. What do you think your score prediction's going to be?
I mean, if we got a draw, that would be great. And for the draw, I was thinking a 2-2. But if we're being realistic, I mean, if we play like we did last night, it's not going to be good. It could be double what happened last night. So, I mean, I'll stay with the 2-2, but it also could be very bad.
Yeah, and Steve?
Yeah, I'm normally positive and try and look glass half full in these situations, but I mean, they're just a great side, Coventry, and I think they potentially will be too much for us in important areas. 3-1 Coventry. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I think as Callum has said there, we really would need to set up like we did against Birmingham at home last season, where, I thought we were absolutely outstanding. But the big difference is we don't have an Alan Campbell masterclass to come into this game, and
we don't have Matty Godden, I think, the big or Josh Edwards.
Yeah,
So
it was all about Alan.
Crikey.
So we don't have an Alan Campbell masterclass and a box to put our midfield in again. So
I might need a box of wine after watching that game. I might want to get a box of wine for the train home, Steve.
Yeah, told you want to go to Ferencváros, get pints of wine out there. Just go up to the bar and they look at you like you're an English pig. I'm realistically, and I'm so glad I'm not going now. Hate me all you want. I did 2 whole seasons in League One, 50 odd games. I'm going for a 5-0 Coventry. I can't see it being anything better than that. If it's worse than that, I literally feel sorry for every single person who is going. And if you have made that decision to go after last night, you're literally my hero, because I just can't do it for the sake of my mental health, to be honest.
You may want to check with your local psychiatrist if you are.
Yeah, I've got a recommendation for some good antidepressants if you need to go. So if anyone needs to go on antidepressants, just let me know and I'll give you a recommendation. No, seriously, but if you are going, sing it loud and proud, and it's the fans that keep this. It's the what's this man bun and his Welshes have just scored again. I think they might be talking about Dobbo there, Sid.
Oh no way!
They are it's 2-0.
Yeah. But sing it loud, sing it proud, and it's us amazing fans, you amazing fans that keep this amazing club going, and you do us proud every time you travel on the road. So I wish you all nothing but the best on your travels, and I hope for you guys it's a result that your support deserves, really. But we will read out some comments and some score predictions from the chat. So I've just seen Marcus said Bell on for Macca all day. Bell can't play. He's absolutely ruined as far as I know. Oh no, sorry, I read that not as Bell. Bell is on the bench. He'll be on the bench. I don't think he's fit quite. So DJ has gone for a 5-0 Coventry. Zaniolo fan has gone for a 3-0 Coventry. Zach is agreeing with Sid at a 2-all. Chris has gone for a 6-0 Coventry. Mark has gone for it'll be a high score to 0. 3-4-5, take your pick. Tom has again agreed with you, Sid, 2-all. Tracy has gone for 1-0 Charlton. Oh, God. She's not going either, so she can hide behind her Christmas tree like me. Matt has said, if it's the same personnel formation, it's 5-1 Coventry. Charlie has gone for a 7-0 Coventry. Oh, God. Stuart is feeling positive. He's gone for a 0-0 redemption. Dennis has said, we just can't score, so 2-0 with them easing down. Jack has gone for a 1-0 Charlton. Matt has just said, I'd play 4-5-1 with 2 wingers and Tanto up front. Hernandez and Apters on the wingers. Oh, God, Hernandez. Same midfield 3. Bree right back, Ramsey left back, Bell and Jones centre back, and Kaminsky in goal. I think 2-1. With his 11, I think 2-1, 1-0 Coventry. And then someone said they agreed with that. And Stuart said, how many fans are going on Saturday? As far as I know, Stuart, it is a sellout.
Yeah, it's a full sellout. Yeah.
So once again, our fans are absolutely smashing it. And you do yourself proud every single time that you travel. But do yourself a favour. If it goes 3-0 down in half hour, just go home.
Emma, can I give the tiniest slimmer of hope to those that are making that trip? If you took away the points deduction that Sheffield Wednesday have had, that 12 points, Norwich officially are the worst team in the Championship this season. Norwich went up to Coventry and got a point. So it's not impossible. And Norwich cannot defend. Right, Norwich make our defending of the last 2 games look as if we're defensively secure. So they're playing Shane Duffy at centre back, for goodness sakes, in the year of our Lord 2025. You know, they went up there and got a point. It's not always quite as simple.
No,
I will not be checking into this podcast when we lose 5-0.
Mark has said he thinks it's a 2K sellout. We must be fucking mad.
Yeah.
Yes. And Jack is asking for the initials of the player who was talking to the other player. It's KR. If you don't know who that is, then, well, work it out. Guys, that is it for tonight. I wish you all the best of luck for you travelling up on Saturday. I'll be with you in spirit. I just had to make a tough decision because I just couldn't personally sit through the game. But don't judge me for it because you guys know I'm a proper supporter. But I do, wish you all safe travels. Sing it loud, sing it proud. And, well done to you guys that are going because, you keep this club going and you should all be really, really proud of yourselves for making that journey up there after what we've been through in the last few games. But thanks for watching as always. Sorry we've overrun a little bit. It was always going to be a bit of a ranty show. Don't forget to like and subscribe the podcast, guys. We really appreciate your support and you keep tuning in and watching us every week. Thanks to obviously my amazing co-host tonight in Callum, to Sid and Steve. We won't be joined by Callum for a little while because he will be in Mumbai for a few weeks, but hopefully we'll have. So Callum, we wish you a safe journey, mate.
Thank
and
you.
hope you have the best time. And so hopefully we will be back with Paul and Tyler on Sunday, and I'm sure we'll be back with Sid and Steve as well. So we will see you guys on Sunday. Thanks for watching as always, guys, and take care of yourselves, and we'll see you soon.
Cheers, guys.
Bye.
See ya. Have a good evening.